Welcome to Alpha Wolf Capital. I'm Tim, and I want to personally thank you for stopping by. This channel is designed to help small companies, both public and private, gain exposure with potential consumers, investors, even partners. Take, for example, today's guest, CEO Bill Frain with Liberty Defense Holdings. Liberty Defense provides artificial intelligence based security detection solutions for protecting secure locations against prohibited weapons and other threats in urban security and aviation settings. Liberty's Hexwave product uses millimeter wave advanced 3D imaging and AI to detect concealed metallic and non-metallic weapons such as liquid, plastic, and powder explosives, 3D printed guns, and other prohibited items without having to remove common items like cell phone or keys. The system allows for a rapid automated screening using a high throughput contactless walkthrough portal. Liberty has also recently licensed the millimeter wave based high definition advanced imaging technology, body scanner, and shoe scanner technologies as part of the technology portfolio. Liberty is committed to protecting communities and preserving peace of mind through superior security detection solutions. This is not to be taken as investment advice. I am not a certified financial planner. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. I encourage everyone to do their own due diligence.
The Hexwave walkthrough screening system uses proven millimeter wave technology to deliver advanced detection of non-metallic and metallic threats. It's built for urban security and airport aviation worker environments, providing seamless and touchless high-throughput flow. Today's metal detectors in the field, even so-called smart metal detectors, can only detect metallic objects. Hexwave uses enhanced AI-enabled detection to find concealed weapons and improvised threats, such as 3D printed guns, ghost guns, and explosives made of liquid, powder, or plastic. The system can also identify flares, tear gas, bear spray, and other prohibitive items carried on a person. Hexwave does this at pace using a continuous S-curve configuration. Unlike most security applications that require people to divest items, Hexwave's walkthrough experience is seamless, so you can leave your cell phone, wallet, keys, and other common items in your pocket. Hexwave's AI can distinguish between threats and benign items, so it won't alarm on clothing, jewelry, or steel-toed boots, for example. Hexwave provides security officers with an immediate and visible go, no-go decision for automatic threat detection, reducing the number of false alarms and pat-downs, which then improves overall throughput. The system maintains privacy by using a generic avatar, and images are never seen by system operators. It works by using proven millimeter wave technology, a safe, low-power radio frequency signal that reflects off the body, creating an enhanced 3D image and producing 400,000 data points at 20 frames per second. The AI algorithms quickly calculate and analyze data faster than the human eye can see, providing an immediate alert if a threat or prohibited item is detected. We're continuously optimizing the deep learning AI algorithms so the system can easily receive updates on the latest threats being used by bad actors. Algorithms can be customized and trained for specific items of interest like drugs, alcohol, or merchandise, and immediately sent to the customer. Hexwave's mobility and flexibility allows customers to rapidly deploy in multiple locations, indoors and outdoors, as needed for their security screening requirements and as a layered security approach. Hexwave is commercially available and being deployed at locations such as airports for aviation worker screening, highly secure national labs, courthouses, correctional facilities, government buildings, and other urban security sites. The Hexwave is designed for any location that requires enhanced security. Liberty Defense helps combat threats with relentless security optimization. This is truly next-generation threat detection. Try Hexwave today.
Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with a brand new company. Not brand new to me because Bill and I have been talking for a couple few months now.
Yep.
But Liberty Defense, which I think is a very interesting company. Bill Frain, CEO, founder and CEO, or CEO,
CEO.
CEO.
Yeah.
Uh, Bill, thanks for coming in and sharing the story about Liberty. Just real quickly, if you can, give everybody a kind of a summation of what it is Liberty Defense does and how Bill wound up here.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Tim. And I appreciate the opportunity. And it's been great to get to know you and speak with you and share some of your insights. But so Liberty Defense, just I'll give you my background first, right? So
Yep.
and kind of how I got here. But so I've been in the security and detection space for 30 plus years. So spent most of my time with a company called L3 Communications, which is a large defense contractor, now L3 Harris. But we really kind of changed the dynamics for security and detection systems, and we kind of grew that business from the early 2000s, to the last 20 years to about $600 million. And really, 9/11 obviously changed the security landscape. And we had a technology at L3 to screen, 100% of all check bags, in the US. And that was a mandate, certainly after 9/11. But, we had a lot of different technologies. We had, computed tomography, X-ray, for aviation. We had cargo applications. We had trace technology. And, that over the last 25 to 30 years, right, there's always an event, right?
Right.
Something happens, you had the shoe bomber, the underwear bomber, right? The Unabomber, all these things, it's unfortunately, the environment that we live in today. But one of the things, and I'll lead to how I kind of came across Liberty Defense, but one of the things that at L3 that we did was the body scanners at the airports, the ones that you put your hands up, there's a rotating mast around you. That's based on millimeter wave.
Okay.
And millimeter wave, proven technology, very effective at looking for any type of threat or anomaly that's on the body.
Okay.
And so now kind of switching over, I left L3 about 6 years ago, and the opportunity came where Liberty had licensed a technology out of MIT, and it was millimeter wave technology, so very similar to those body scanners, but you were actually walking through the system and taking real-time 3D video rate image of a person as they're walking through a system, again, looking for any type of threat or anomaly,
Yep.
metallic or non-metallic. So it was in the early stages, Liberty, and there were a few of us who said, this is a great opportunity. It's definitely needed in every place that we go, in public settings, schools, courthouses, prisons. I mean, there's, again, going back to, the events that happen, whether it's domestic or international terrorist activities. I mean, the Minneapolis shooting is just one other incident that's happened. It
Yep.
happens at distribution centers. It happens at churches and synagogues, malls, you know. As one investor said, it's becoming a necessity, to have this type of technology in every public place that we go to.
Yep.
Again, it's unfortunate, but that's why I've stayed in this business, right? And the whole goal and what we've built here at Liberty Defense is trying to protect the public, right? Whether you're going to a game or whether you're going to a school or whether you're an employee going through a checkpoint at an airport, right? Our goal is to provide protection and security applications to help prevent an incident from happening. So we've developed this technology. It's called Hexwave. It's a walk-through screening portal. It's actually two panels. You walk through the system and you kind of go through in a little bit of an S configuration so that we get kind of a full 360 rendering of the person. Again, we're taking it's real-time video, and we use AI capability, right, to automatically identify if there's a threat on the person.
Okay. And when you say threat on a person, you're not just talking about a gun or a knife. You're talking about a gun, a knife, potentially explosive, potentially plastic ghost guns, right?
That's right. And, we've all seen in the press, 3D printed guns, ghost guns, that evolution. And, the people who want to do bad things are going to get more creative, right? They're going to find ways to defeat the system. So that's the great thing about millimeter wave technology is, and the AI capabilities, we're looking for any type of threat. So it could be plastic, could be liquid, powders, gels, those all can make up explosive materials. And
Right.
so, that's what we do. But we also can catch the metal knife and the metal gun as well. So, when you take a reflection off the body, you're looking for different types of shapes and anomalies. And that's where the AI comes into play because we can just build up that database and the AI continues to learn at what is a threat and what isn't a threat. And that's why it's very effective.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about, so how long have you been there with Liberty?
So a little over 5 years I've been
Okay.
at Liberty, and the Hexwave, again, we took the kind of the true R&D out of MIT, great partnership with them, and we started delivering, or we commercialized the Hexwave. We've been delivering the technology now for the last 2+ years. We might get to it, but we're at places like Los Alamos National Labs, which, was popular for the Oppenheimer movie and the atomic bomb, but that's a secure facility. So they trusted Liberty to put the technology in place at their entrances so that people can't come in with any type of threat or anomaly. They're actually looking for recording devices, phones,
Wow.
USB sticks. We're in airports. We just delivered our, airport to the 6th U.S. airport. There's this mandate for aviation worker screening where 100% of employees need to be
Yeah.
screened.
When you told me this, you told me this the first time I met you, I was like, I was shocked
Yeah.
that the airport workers are not screened the way the airport passengers that are going to go get on the planes are.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. And it's a huge risk, right? I mean, and we've seen things in the news too where there's, you know, drugs being, filtered through the employees, so, and things are caught, right? We go to the airports, we see what's happening. So, the TSA, the previous administrator, said this is a huge risk, right? I mean, these people have access to, the cargo, the fuel tanks, whatever it might be, right? And they're going through with just a background check. So, the mandate says that you have to have an explosive detection system in place by April of 2026 to screen your employees. So there's been a lot of activity around this, new mandate. We're in Palm Springs Airport, Manchester, New Hampshire, um, Rochester, New York, Fairbanks, Alaska. There are several different, now that we're getting into the first week of September, people are back from their vacations and there are several tenders that are out there. So, the mandate is going to drive a lot of new business at Liberty. But, there's also other places, and you and I have talked about this, correctional facilities, courthouses, distribution centers, schools, right?
Any
That,
place where there's a large amount of people, right?
yes, yes,
That gather.
stadiums, yeah. And, we have the FCC license to be indoors and outdoors, which makes a difference because, for these pop-up events that happen or concerts, you
Hmm.
know, everybody is going to be looking for, or they should be at least, given recent tragic events, they should be putting in some sort of screening capability. And it
Yeah.
can be a layered approach, as you and I have talked about, whether you have a metal detector along with the Hexwave machine, or other capabilities, right? So that, again, people who want to do bad things don't know what kind of screening they're going to be going through. The whole goal and what drives everybody here and the mission is to prevent an event from happening, to protect the public and stop the loss of lives.
Yep. So, I mean, and you and I have talked about this. I mean, that is my whole goal is I have, come to recognize that there are a lot of very small companies that are doing amazing things that are going to benefit humanity. The problem is we're not identifying those things and adopting them quick enough. So what happens is you get a company like yours that's okay, 5 years you've been at it, you've got the technology, but now the hard part is going out and getting the industry to adopt it, right? And then of course the adoption comes after a major tragedy happens, like Minnesota, and then all of a sudden it becomes a priority, which it should be a priority just on logic, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is not rocket science here. If you have something that will identify a threat at the entrance of some facility, or then probably should be using it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
as a deterrent from, you know, how many of these things would just not happen because there is that deterrent at the gate and they don't know exactly what it's capable of doing, right? So
You're
they
100% right.
abandon the whole thought. I
Yes.
mean, it's hard to put a price on the event that doesn't happen, right?
Yes.
But the event that doesn't happen is extremely important, right? We
Yes.
want more, as many of those as we can possibly get, right?
Yes. And you bring up a great point about the deterrent, right? And we're operational, we're in the safety business, right? But it is a deterrent, and they will go, and it goes along with the layered approach, right? They'll go somewhere else, unfortunately. But I can't tell you every time there's an incident, when you get the chief of police or somebody on the news, they'll say, well, we didn't think it would happen to us, right? We
Right.
didn't think we,
God,
we were vulnerable, right? And, it goes to your point about, the education and, we should have these technologies in place, prevent it from happening. Don't be on the news, right? Um,
right.
you know, protect, the greatest asset, which is the people. So, that's why, we're out there promoting, and of course there's, you get budget issues, you get throughput issues, right? But we're learning and seeing more and more people are looking at safety over speed. And that's the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
So you bring up a great point about being the deterrent or not being the one that's on the news.
So there's Evolve, right? Which they don't have the capability that you have, do they? They can't
They're
do plastic. Can they do plastic?
no, they do metal detection,
Metal detection,
high
right?
throughput metal
Okay.
detection.
And then there's Extract One, right?
Yes, very similar.
Uh, and then is L3 still?
L3, not so much it's now Leidos. They sold that business to Leidos, but they're not so much in that, kind of day-to-day,
Because L
protection,
three was a massive. They were a huge defense contractor,
the
right?
big defense contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they sold the business that I was part of, the security and detection business, to Leidos a few years back.
Okay.
And they're more focused on the aviation checkpoint.
So look, I look at. So let's talk about this real quick. So you said that's an L3 system that you go and you put your arms up, you stand in, the
Right.
panels
Right.
rotate around you. Now they want to update those things. If I have this correctly, right? They want to with some of the newer technology. You were the guys that built, and I think don't
Yeah.
you have the engineer on your
Yes.
staff
Yes.
that
Yeah.
actually built the thing for L3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happened is, so we received at Liberty. So we have quite a few engineers that, fully understand and know, cut their teeth with L3 as well, and have the experience of developing and, from an engineering perspective, those body scanners and the millimeter wave. So they're on, the staff here. And we received a few years back a sole source development contract from the TSA to develop, probably to about $5 to $6 million, to develop an upgrade kit. So, you've seen those systems. They're very large systems at the checkpoint. So what we're doing is we're actually just replacing the hardware, the mass that rotate around you. We're replacing that, but it's a little more complicated than that. We're also, they call it open architecture, right? So, at Liberty, we're saying, all right, there can be 2 or 3 or 4 other different software applications utilizing AI, using different types of algorithms, again, to be able to have the best in class, software capability. And the open architecture piece of it for Liberty is we're saying, all right, we'll take those software, we'll apply it to the hardware application, right, to get the best full solution for those upgrade kits and for those machines. And actually, it kind of goes with the kind of the new government and all the DOGE activities. This will save the TSA about $500 million by upgrading the systems instead of buying new ones or doing forklift replacements. So we have that sole source contract. We just delivered the first kit to the TSA, and it's kind of going to be going under the test and evaluation process over the next several months.
So that upgrade kit runs about what's the cost to the TSA?
Well, it'll be, it's still to be determined, but it'd be north of $100,000, right, for the kit to be
Okay.
put into place.
And how many of those units would need upgrading?
So TSA has published they have 1,042. So it's kind of an exact number.
Okay.
So that are, of those types of body scanners, the former L3, current Leidos body scanners in airports in the US.
So you just delivered the kit to upgrade those panels. That kit is roughly $100,000. If I just do the math real quick, that's $100 million contract.
That's a potential, over the next 5 years, that's the opportunity we have in front of us.
That's pretty big.
It's huge.
I don't think it's reflected in the stock.
It's not, and as you and I have talked about, so we're based in, just north of Boston. This is a, US company.
Yep.
That's traded on the TSXV, publicly traded. We've got some great shareholders out of Canada, but this is a US story. And, it's a US focus. It's not reflected in the stock. There's great future opportunity for these upgrades. So, we believe in it. We've seen the technology. We've seen what we can do from an imaging capability. TSA has been our side by our side the last couple of years through this deployment and development. So, we have a high level of confidence that it's going to meet the new certification standards and, will be deployed, kind of along with TSA's plan over the next 5 years. And it saves the government money.
So we talked before we hopped on. There's a requirement that the panels have to be installed. Software's got to be in within under 4 hours.
Yes.
You just installed. You did it in 3.
Yep.
Right. They've had it now for several weeks, and you've talked to them, but they have not had any negative issues, right? With
that, not that we're aware of.
Okay, so it sounds like things are pretty positive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No,
The next step would be they finished with their testing, and then what?
Yeah, so they go through, it's a rigorous test and evaluation process. They'll make sure it's operationally fit for the need. they'll, put through different types of explosive materials. And again, they'll do the test. And then we would go through the certification process with the TSA. And that's there's a standard that's out there where you have to meet certain detection requirements, certain false alarm throughput. So, that could take anywhere from, more than, 6+ months to go through that process.
Okay.
So we don't have specific dates of when they'll start that testing, but, we're expecting it to happen in the near future.
And that would be like 10, like maybe what, 10 units is what they're,
Yeah, so we've announced that we have a letter of intent from the TSA for kind of the initial 10 kits. So we're hoping that once they do this initial testing, then they order the kits, they can put those out in the field and do the real kind of true what they would call operational test and evaluation in a live setting in an airport. So
okay,
that's kind of the next critical step for us is getting that award. And, hopefully that again happens, after this short evaluation that they're going to be doing.
okay. All right. So let's talk about, you just did a capital raise. You just raised like 4.4 Canadian, right?
Right,
So you're good on cash for right now. Now there, because of the administration and budget cuts or the big beautiful bill, or
yeah,
there's some stuff that's up in the air that makes it a little more challenging for you, right?
right. Yeah. Y- Yeah. And, we had anticipated it, and I'm sure, the other government agencies anticipated having funding, at the beginning of this year,
Yeah.
and everything, just got pushed out. So, that's why we're hopeful, we maybe do get, DHS does get a budget, doesn't have to go on, continuing resolution, for the next several months, and things get, kind of back to normal.
Right.
And, that's certainly what we're anticipating. That will certainly help drive our cash. In addition to the Hexwave opportunities that I mentioned, which, we are expecting, some awards in the month of September. So, it will all fit into place if the TSA budgets get approved and, they can start funding these contracts.
Okay. So how many shares outstanding fully diluted, Bill?
It's about 60 million.
All right, 60 million. So just off of what we spoke of now, right? And I would say you have a pretty good head start above everybody else that you guys built those units, right?
Right,
Uh, and then you've got the regular panels for, and with things like what happened in Minnesota, I would suggest you're probably getting more calls. Yes.
yes, it's and again, having been in this business for 30+ years, it is very event driven.
Yep.
And unfortunately, these events are happening, more and more on a regular basis. But yeah, so every time there is an event, you start to get the calls. And it's not just schools, right? It's other people that say, as we started talking about, you know, we should really get some sort of detection capability, at our
It's
front door.
hospitals. I was
It's
shocked that at hospitals, or I guess, or it's a environment where people are very hostile towards the doctors and the nurses,
yes, yes,
which is
right.
insanity to me.
Yeah. And they walk in with suicide vests. You read it in the papers, you hear it on the news, the shootings that are happening, and again, it's really about protecting lives, right? These
Right.
frontline workers, the doctors, the nurses, the emergency room attendants, they're at risk too.
Yep.
Um, it's an
This
unfortunate
is serious
necessity.
stuff.
Yeah. So it is starting to happen. We are starting to get more calls. There's definitely a heightened awareness over the lack of security and the need for security. You know, one to have real true protection, but also to be that deterrent, to have, somebody else not be the one that says we didn't think it would happen to us.
Well, this would be defined to me as an impact company, right? I mean, this is a company that's going to save lives, right?
Right.
And that's plain and simple to me. So you've got a head start with the TSA. That's $100 million contract. Anything can happen. I understand that. I would say you're in pretty good position. You just did the raise, and um, I would suggest that. Let's see this on the weekly chart. I don't know if you can see the chart. Actually, I'm going to move it forward here, but um, I don't think that the stock has been fairly priced, fairly valued. Now, I understand that there's probably because of the fact that you did have to raise capital, that was probably an issue. But now you've raised capital. If this timeline that we just talked about, let's say 6 months from now, they've done the testing of the 10, and now that formally becomes a contract, right? That program of record. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so then it becomes a program, and which then allows for the next step, which would be the procurement process.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Which is you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, TSA would certainly open it up for, competition, but which is what they would do with all their contracts. But to your point, we'd be in a very good position, very confident, that, and again, even if you get half of that, 1,000 systems, and by the way, there's another 1,000 systems globally, right? That
Oh,
could
there's another
potentially need to
1,000
be,
systems globally.
yes.
But it's your technology. I mean, it's your panels, right? Those
Yeah, the upgrade kits, we're
yeah,
developing that hardware. Yes.
right. So no, I mean, even if somebody else got it, it's still your hardware that would be going in. Yes? No?
No, I mean, there could be other companies that, they buy new
Oh, that have a
systems.
that have a kit too. Okay, I
Yeah,
got you.
that could have a kit as well.
But you've got a pretty damn big head start,
Yes. Yeah.
right? I think
Yes,
you're
we do.
feeling pretty comfortable about where you're at.
Yeah. No, we're very confident. We've got very good engineering team, that's done the development. As I said, the contract that we received, has helped with that development. So, now we're in the execution phase and performance phase, and so that's why we have a high level of confidence that, we'll be able to meet the new standards.
Okay. So you just did the race. Did you participate in that race?
Yes.
You did.
Yeah, everybody's there's a lot of management. I think I've participated in every raise that we've had.
So you put your money where your mouth is.
Yes.
That's one of the things I love to see, right? I mean, if you believe in the technology, you believe in the company, then you step up to the plate. So
Yeah.
I think this is a really good story that is under. I think it's under. I think you're undervalued, but I just don't think there's a lot of people that have eyeballs on this, and I don't think they understand how important it is, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is. And since we started talking, I mean, I've paid much more attention to this. And as soon as the Minnesota thing happened, immediately I think of you and think, these things need to be everywhere, right? To
Right.
keep people safe.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
It is.
And unfortunately, like you said, it's a event driven. But now we're getting these events. I mean, here's the reality. I hope that we don't have to have a really big, tragic loss of life for people to wake the hell up and say, this is a priority, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. And that's what we're doing as well. Now we've got some very good reference sites which help, but it's getting the story out. It's getting that level of education. It's not very difficult or complicated, what we're doing. Even in, uh, things just keep coming to mind. Mass transit's another area, that could use this type of technology, right? It's difficult because of the volume of people, but again, there's ways to do it so that, you do random screening. or partial screening, right? So it's just you have something in place.
Yeah.
So, again, with the whole goal of eventually preventing an event from happening.
Listen, I'm in Vegas, man. I'm in Vegas, right? That's all we have is large crowds. I
Yeah.
hate going down to the strip, but I mean, those hotels should have one of these things at every one of their entrances, right? I mean, we had the big shooting here that from the
Right.
Mandalay Bay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And you travel internationally, you'll see that, some of these screeners, you go to the Middle East, some of these Asian hotels, they will have screening. So, 20 years ago, we didn't think we'd have to go through body scanners at the airport, right? Now it's commonplace.
Yep,
So, it's just something you end up getting used to. But, we haven't had an incident at an airport because of that technology that's in place.
yep.
So, I think it's just something that, we're going to have to get used to, as people who go to events. And if you want to go to those events, you're going to want to be safe.
So I was going to bring up your chart, but I just uploaded my new software and it's not showing the stuff that I need, and I'm not going to mess. I know you're pressed for time, so
Yeah.
uh, what potential investors, potential customers, I mean, because this will go out to, you never know where somebody works, but if you have a place that should have some kind of a screening system, right? They should reach out
Yeah.
and get a quote or have somebody come by and right, take a look
Yeah.
at what they've got. And then,
Yeah. I mean, it makes a huge difference, as you and I were talking about, to be able to come and see the technology, whether it's here, in our facility where we do the manufacturing, or if it's, one of our customer sites, and they're usually very open to, having visitors come in and see the technology. But it makes a difference when you can see, how the technology works, and the fact that, you can automatically detect a liquid or a 3D printed gun or a ghost gun or a knife. It's kind of a game changer, right? It
yeah,
it truly is, next generation technology. And we're only a couple of years in, right? So it's going to get better. We're working the software. To your point, it's an open-ended system. You can put facial recognition in, you can have access control. The images can be sent to a central location, remote screening. So these are all these things that, we've built into the system, understanding that, you have to have the right concept of operations and flow of people going through at the same time as you're trying to keep people safe.
yeah. I mean, look, people are going to bitch and whine about lack of, or privacy. Take tough shit. This is the way I say it. I mean, if you don't, if you're worried about that for some reason, then I want everybody to be safe. I want to be able to go to an event somewhere and not have to worry about whether or not somebody can sneak in a gun or a knife or
Yeah,
that.
right,
I just, it's not worth it, right? I
right.
mean,
Yep,
keeping people safe is the number one priority. And if
yep,
that's a problem for you, then don't go to the event. I don't. What
right.
else can you say, right? I mean, MGM or not MGM, Madison Square Garden, Dolan. I mean, he he's not going to mess around. If he wants to do facial recognition, he's got every right to do facial recognition,
Yeah,
right? You're
yeah,
coming onto his property, and he wants to protect his guests. So
right.
if that's a problem for you, tough. I don't know how people got to get over stuff like that in
Yeah,
my head, right?
yeah,
It's more important that we save lives. I mean, Minnesota is a perfect example of that. I mean, these
yeah,
kids are just going to school. That's all they're doing,
yeah,
right? Going to school and trying to learn some stuff, and this is what happens. This is not
yeah.
good. We have to
No,
fix these things.
yeah. No, I remember the superintendent down in Florida told me, a parent shouldn't drop their son or daughter off at school, not thinking they wouldn't pick them up. It's just
Exactly.
yeah. I mean,
That's a powerful statement right there.
yeah, it is. And,
Yep.
and again, we've talked about, and this isn't about selling, right, technology, because there's a lot of different technologies. It's not just about liberty defense, right? It's about, what the society has become. And, unfortunately, it's a societal need.
Right.
And, where we need to do that protection, that level of deterrence, to provide that level of safety for the public.
Here's what I know, Bill. You're on the right side of things. I can tell you that, right? And you're a very transparent guy. I've really enjoyed getting to know you.
Same
And
here.
I think that, people, where's it at? 20 cents right now? Right
Yeah,
about 20
US.
cents a share. Uh,
Yeah.
what's the market cap? 20 cents times 60.
It's about 13, 14 million US.
What was the technology that the hex? Uh, how much was put into the technology for?
It's close to 40 plus $1 million that we've put in. And you've got these partners like MIT and Pacific Northwest National Labs. I mean, MIT just put out a great article about us,
Did they?
Yeah, and same with the TSA did the same thing in early January, right? About next generation technology and talking about liberty defense and securing the checkpoint. So, and as I mentioned, now that we've got customer installations and we've got reference sites, a lot of it's about getting the word out. So yeah,
I think this is one of these companies that is, and this is the thing about the markets, right? This is where the inefficiencies lie. So you're a little company that nobody knows about that has this technology that does amazing things, but nobody knows about technology
right,
because they got to be educated and people are slow to adopt.
right,
That's the problem, right? Then you have to rely on the capital markets to keep you solvent long enough, right, to be able for people to get it and go, oh, yeah, we need this. And
yeah,
that's the whole issue is it always takes longer than I think it's going to take, no matter how obvious it is. It's not a logic based system. It's just not. The markets don't think logically, and then that's part of my issue. Why I think the markets are broken, and that's why I do what I do is to try and help these companies that are absolutely going to make a difference if they are given a shot to
yeah,
do that, right? And the only way we can give them a shot is to know about them,
yeah. No, you're
right?
right.
So
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. I think this is a great story. We're just getting started. This is going to be shorter than it normally is because we were talking so every time we get together we talk too much.
Okay.
It's my fault. But I wanted to make sure that people started paying attention to this. I think what they need to do is they need to go to the website, sign up for your are they email alerts because I just did it, right?
Yeah.
I was trying to just get signed up for your email alerts, and there's actually I got to send. I think I had to send a like a request to be able to
Yeah,
get
you just fill out, if you go to the website and you just fill out, the request, and then I'll see that,
the. Okay.
it's the emails that we get, the info,
Yeah.
and so then you will be on the mailing list. So
Okay.
any type of news or events or updates, we'll do
And
that.
that's what you do. So here's what I would do. I would go and buy one share. Right? If you think about it, Bill, if 80 million people bought one share,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen because I don't have 80 million followers, but my point is this: if you buy at least one share, you will follow what the company is doing.
that's
Okay.
right.
Now, you may regret that you only bought one share if the thing takes off, right? But at least you're participating, right? It's worse to not participate at all. So I would say, look, if you could buy more than one share, you do. I don't tell anybody what to buy or what to sell. I just bring what I think is a compelling story where you have a good management team. The most important thing to me is leadership. They can have a great service or a great product, but if you don't have great leadership, I think the odds are stacked against you. You have proven to me that you're very, like I said, I like transparent and you care. You care about your shareholders, you care about your customers, right? So these are things that I think are very important, right? And we're just getting
Yeah,
started here, but I'm going to have you back.
great.
When should I have you back, Bill?
I would say by the, I don't know how often you do it. I mean, I love the platform. You and I have developed a great relationship. Like I said, we talked for an hour before we even did this. So, you know, I think, there's a lot of activity that's going to happen in the month of September. And
Okay.
so I think, maybe in the middle of October is probably a great time for just, even if it's a quick update on where things are.
Okay. All right. Familiarize yourself, people, with this name. I think is been beaten up. I think they've got a lot going on. I think they're, like you just said, he's got some potential catalysts. I would. I mean, what's your risk reward here, right? You lose 20 cents. What's the highest it's ever been, Bill?
We were, just not too long ago, we did a raise at $1.65 Canadian, I think. So, um, you know, it, it it was up there, and then there was a lot of
You didn't
selling that
start this
happened.
company to go bankrupt, did you?
What's that?
You didn't start this company
Oh,
to
no,
fail, did you?
no, hell no.
No.
And like you said, I've got a lot personally invested in this professionally, and so do a lot of people, here. Again, this is not a fly by night. We've got great backers at MIT, TSA, Pacific Northwest National Labs who have all entrusted, the team here with the technology to commercialize it, which we've done, and now it's, getting it out into the marketplace.
Okay.
So yeah, we're only looking at growth.
Yep. So the ticker symbol is LDDFF, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Bill. Thanks for coming in and doing this, man. Hold on one second. I'm going to shut this off.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Today we had Liberty Defense Holdings CEO Bill Frain. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best of success.